Breathe 2. So Don't Breathe 2 stars Stephen Lang, who plays as Norman Nordstrom, who is a blind former military man who is also a single father raising his daughter, Phoenix, played by Madeline Grace. One day, Phoenix is out with Norman's friend Hernandez when they're followed home by a couple of really creepy guys. A group of guys makes their way back to Norman's house later on that night. Things start to go haywire, and we have our movie. What are my overall thoughts on this movie? Basically, this movie crushes it in terms of adhering to its thriller tropes that it's going for. For basically the entire movie, I was really engaged and just freaking out as to how each of these characters was going to get out of the sticky situations that they faced. And along the way, we get a really good sneak peek into each of these characters, the relationships between each other, and what really makes them tick. And the movie also creatively reveals how smart each of them are. Starting with what I really enjoyed about this movie, it is an excellent thriller and it is action-packed. And like any good thriller, the movie kept me on my toes the entire movie. I never really knew what to expect, but just as when I thought I knew what to expect, the movie threw me a curveball and totally caught me off guard. It was great. And not knowing what to expect also carried over into the action in this movie. Norman and Phoenix, they find themselves in a lot of really hairy situations when it comes to the action scenes without giving away spoilers. And the movie executes this in such a creative fashion that it really keeps you, in a really strange way, having a ton of fun. Moreover, since Norman is blind, the movie has to kind of play that to his fighting style, change up his fighting style, change up the way that he sees situations. And we get to see that executed in the movie. And also, we get to see that sort of style carry over to his daughter Phoenix because he's taught her everything she knows. And in that regard, the movie really shows off just how smart each of them are when it comes to these situations. And then plus, it brings the stakes through the roof. Moving over into the relationships and the characters themselves, the movie executes this backstory of these characters well enough and the relationship between them just enough to matter and for us to care a little bit. Granted, the bread and butter of this movie is in its thrills, but by just giving us a little sprinkling into each of those characters' backstory, it provides us a little bit more of a stake in these movies, and it makes us care a little bit more about the outcome, which is always an added bonus. And for this movie, really early on, we can see that Norman is starting to struggle with how to raise his daughter, and the movie really kind of plays into that to start out, and I really enjoyed it because it once again elevates the stakes. And lastly, the movie functions on its own really well. For those of you who don't know, Don't Breathe 2 is the sequel to Don't Breathe. You don't have to have watched Don't Breathe in order to watch this movie or even really enjoy it. Like, if you just went in cold and watched this movie, you would have a really good time with it. And playing more on the creativity side of things, one of the things I talked about in my trailer talk of this movie, which I'll link somewhere in this video, now kind of transferring over into what I didn't like so much about this movie. I thought that the backstory of Norman and his relationship between Phoenix was executed well enough. It didn't really make me care a whole lot. Now, why do I have that as really a pro and a con? Reason being is because if they don't execute that well at all, it kind of detracts from the movie. The fact that they couldn't really quite get us to really care all that much doesn't really help the movie, it doesn't really hurt it, so that's why I decided to put it both as a pro and a con. And also, what I really hated about this movie was essentially the villains. The villains were designed in such a way to be really creepy and douchey. Like, if the movie was totally going for, oh, give me the creepiest person you could think of and put them into this movie and write the creepiest dialogue you can possible, they succeeded. But I think that the villains could have been executed in a better way to make them at least seem a little bit more menacing. Like, I just didn't really buy that they were really threatening at all because of how creepy and weird the dialogue was. Like, it just didn't really land for me at all. Like, it just didn't really land for me. The villains I just wasn't really afraid of or really cared about. And kind of even extending that into dialogue a little bit for the villains, it seemed like the words were meant for one purpose, but the way they executed them made it sound like it was meant for a different purpose. And that juxtaposition I found kind of distracting at times. So ladies and gentlemen, my overall verdict for this movie won't blow you away, but it is a good time at the movies. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. If you're just looking for a solid thriller that's going to keep you entertained the entire time, this movie is perfect for you. It's thrilling, it's action-packed, and it's creative in so many ways that I didn't even think possible. Stephen Lang gives us a great performance, and the movie does a good job of showing off just how smart Norman and Phoenix are, albeit the relationship not being the most entertaining nor their backstories. So I'll say, go see it. Alright my friends, have you seen Don't Breathe 2? If so, what did you think of it? You know where the comment section is. Let me know. Once again, this has been a Bankrupt Hippo movie review. Like, comment, and subscribe so you can see more videos. Hit the notification bell. I greatly appreciate it. I've been Bryson. Until the next time, have a great day.